Here's your wrestling news for October 16th, 2022. And we're kicking off today with Bray Wyatt, who returned to WWE at Extreme Rules 15 months after his controversial release from WWE. During his first run in WWE, Wyatt won over a ton of fans with his creativity, but Vince McMahon was often no fan of the former Fiend. Speaking on his The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast, AEW's Matt Hardy discussed his former tag partner and the embarrassment and punishment he often received by the former chairman. Wyndham, Bray Wyatt has always had a very strange relationship with Vince, very strange, like I almost felt like Vince looked at him like a son in some ways. When he would do things that he liked, he would love him, and he would really give him everything that he could possibly give him. He would bend over backwards to try and accommodate him. But when he did something he didn't like, he hated, like he was gonna lock him away for good. It was almost like a really weird, or really strange and different duality that Vince shared with Bray. When he liked him or loved him, he was all about him. But when he disliked him, oh my god, it was really bad, and he would punish him and insult him. To me, it was so strange, it was almost like a parent. Speaking about Bray's creativity, Matt, who's a creative soul himself, praised Wyatt for bringing something truly different to wrestling. He's just an out-of-the-box thinker. He's also a very interesting person. Some of the material that he reads and studies is stuff that is just really out of the blue, things you wouldn't expect. He's a very well-versed and educated person, and he has a lot of interests. I feel like that makes him overly creative in many ways. His thought process of trying to do things new and differently is very unique and very special just to himself. Not a lot of people think like he does. He's very unique, and it really is a very special talent and gift that he has when it comes to being creative. Vince McMahon never quite saw Bray's potential, but now the former CEO of WWE is gone for good, and under Triple H so far, the future is certainly looking bright for the former Universal Champion. But what do you think? What would you like to see Wyatt do next with Triple H running creative? Let us know in the comments. On this week's Raw, AJ Styles teased joining up with the Judgment Day before instead revealing that he has a group of his own to go up against them. Moments later, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson made their returns to WWE, and now we know more about what happened. Fightful Select reports that Gallows and Anderson were interested in rejoining WWE while they were under contract with Impact and weren't exactly quiet backstage about their plans. The two were scheduled to finish with Impact in July, but their contracts were extended by a month, meaning they eventually finished in late August. Interestingly, Anderson is the New Japan Never Openweight Champion, and despite him being a WWE superstar again, an agreement has been reached which will allow him to work the upcoming Battle Autumn event. In fact, both Gallows and Anderson have dates with New Japan, and WWE has agreed that both men can work their committed dates with the Japanese promotion until Wrestle Kingdom in January next year. Fightful's report adds that the two are signed with WWE in what is said to be a big money deal, though there's no word on how much exactly they're being paid. It's very rare for WWE to allow any wrestler to appear for any other company, never mind allowing two superstars to make multiple appearances elsewhere, but it just goes to show that this is indeed a new era for WWE. Over to AEW next, as Saraya made her debut at the Grand Slam edition of AEW Dynamite months after her contract with WWE expired and Vince McMahon chose not to re-sign her. After McMahon's retirement, WWE and Triple H made an attempt to bring her back, even promising her that she could wrestle, but that wasn't the only option. While speaking on Talk is Jericho, Saraya said that after her role as SmackDown GM was cut short, she pitched being the manager for Ronda Rousey, saying that the UFC fighter needed a mouthpiece at the time. That wasn't the only idea Saraya pitched during her latter years in WWE, as she went on to explain that she pitched being a manager for multiple female superstars, but all of her ideas were turned down. This left the former Divas champion feeling completely useless, as WWE had no plans to use her. But because of the company's specific contracts, she couldn't work anywhere else, despite technically being an independent contractor. While Rousey has become a solid worker on the mic, there was a long time when she struggled to speak naturally in front of fans, and despite having a reliable mouthpiece in Saraya, WWE decided not to use the now former superstar. More from Bray Wyatt now, as this week's SmackDown teased that he'll be working a strange split personality character moving forward. In the final moments of his segment, a figure in a mask appeared on the Titantron, and we now may have an idea as to who exactly this is. Fightful reports that this mask is being referred to as Uncle Howdy backstage, a name that WWE filed to trademark on October 8th for use on TV. Horror fans may be familiar with the term, as Uncle Howdy is what the possessed Reagan calls the demon Pazuzu in the 1973 horror classic The Exorcist. Wyatt's return promo during this week's SmackDown was an emotional and well-received segment, racking up over 5 million views on YouTube in the first 12 hours since being uploaded. As for what WWE is planned next, fans have been left trying to figure that one out, but it certainly appears that Uncle Howdy, an even darker form of Wyatt than the ones fans have seen, is here to stay. Since May, fans haven't seen Sasha Banks or Naomi on WWE TV, as the two continue to serve out their suspensions following the now infamous walkout. There's no word on when either woman will return, but Ronda Rousey is waiting to defend her newly won SmackDown Women's Championship. During a recent gaming stream, Rousey named some possible challengers. The UFC legend picked plenty of people, including both Naomi and Sasha Banks. The mention of Sasha Banks and Naomi's names as possible challengers has fans buzzing that perhaps the two women could return to the company, despite the belief that WWE will freeze Naomi's current deal. Given that WWE rewarded fans who deciphered clues from Bray Wyatt, we can't count out that the company is doing the same thing here, hinting at Banks and Naomi returning to TV. A lot has changed since May, and while a match between Rousey and Naomi or Rousey and Banks would be a huge deal, nothing is for sure right now. On the October 4th SmackDown, Legado del Fantasma was called up to the main roster, but with one notable change. Instead of Elektra Lopez, the group appeared on SmackDown with Zelina Vega, and no explanation was given at the time. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that WWE had originally planned for Lopez too to be called up, and had even booked her a ticket to Worcester, where SmackDown was being held. Not long after, though, WWE changed their mind, as they have plans for the group's female member to face Hit Row's B-Fab, and believe that Vega is the more competent wrestler. Vega and B-Fab are yet to wrestle, but they did get physical during this week's SmackDown, so a match is coming. As for Lopez, she'll now have to forge her own path outside the group, as her in-ring ability was simply not up to the level WWE wanted for the main roster. And we're ending today with Michael Cole, who has been an on-screen broadcaster for WWE for over a quarter century, but he also helps out when not on screen. As a veteran of WWE, Cole has befriended countless people over the decades, and those friendships don't end when people leave. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was noted that Michael Cole has been checking in on Renee Paquette regularly ever since she left WWE in August 2020 to make sure she's been doing okay away from wrestling. Even with Paquette joining AEW, the friendship she has with Cole goes beyond their respective promotions and goes to show why Cole is so respected by those he works with. Now, it's been over 4 months since Charlotte Flair last appeared in a WWE ring, where she lost the SmackDown Women's title to Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania Backlash. WWE has not given any clues as to when Flair will be back, but at least now we know exactly what is keeping her away. For a time, it was reported that Flair may have been dealing with an injury, but that isn't the case. In his interview with Mas Lucha, the same in which he lashed out at Sammy Guevara, Andrade spoke about his wife, saying she's away for what were described as personal reasons. Andrade didn't give any update as to what these personal reasons are, but they must be something pretty big to have kept the multiple-time former women's champion away for this long. El Idolo also addressed the rumors of his return to WWE, adding that while he can't speak directly to WWE about a deal, he can pass messages along through his wife, who remains in contact with the company despite her hiatus. Flair has shown no hints of returning anytime soon, but whenever she does come back, fans can expect the Queen of All Eras to add even more titles to her already record-breaking collection. In July, Ric Flair had what was promoted as his last match, but hasn't exactly been quiet about a possible return. Mere days after his retirement, Flair teased coming out of retirement, inspired by the news that his former rival Ricky Steamboat will wrestle next month in his first match in 12 years. Celebrating 50 years in the industry recently, Flair said he'll never truly retire, and during the latest To Be the Man podcast, clarified his stance. When I say it inspires me to want to do it again, it's not that I couldn't. I will stand by this. I wish I hadn't said it was my last match, and I don't want to disappoint a bunch of fans by doing it again. Flair may want to wrestle again and believes he's physically capable of doing so, but understands how a return to the ring would go down a handful of months after his emotional last match. Ironically, Flair's last match came about because he wanted to end his career on his own terms, but that's proving to be easier said than done for the dirtiest player in the game. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.